The first thing I notice is a color swelling in the corner of the room. A slick blue, neither light nor dark, creeping from where the ceiling meets the plaster. I sit on the floor, legs pulled in, back against the radiator, and the shape shifts in a way that defies understanding. It seeps into the air, not casting a shadow, merely a stain that pulses. My breath catches. The apartment hums with low static. I fixate on the color until my vision falters and my mouth tastes metallic. I want to move, but the color throbs. It strains at the edges. It knows. I'm Henry, living alone in a place I thought was temporary. Boxes remain piled by the door. Most nights I go through the motions of an unhaunted life. Cereal in the morning, coffee in silence, lights on to fill rooms I seldom enter. I run a hand over the blank window frames, pondering the lives below me, pressed against thin walls. The air feels heavy, a weight split between my frustrations and the burdens of what I've left unspoken. Recently, this pressure has shifted, becoming sharper, folding in on itself. I sense it in my teeth and the hair on my arms, in the dull thud of an unwelcome heart. It began 3 weeks prior, as I waited in the studio for a work call that never came, scrolling through a feed of unfamiliar faces, when the screen flickered. Just a blur for a split second, like the display had dipped in something electric. I dismissed it, having barely slept. That day, passing the hallway, I heard a click that didn't belong here. The light above my door shivered, flickered, and returned. Each oddity seemed isolated, harmless. With each incident, I paused, listened. My breath would catch. The floor felt colder, rougher beneath my feet. Yet eventually, time would drape its familiar veil, and everything would fade back. The next day, I spotted a hairline crack creeping up the bathroom mirror. I would have noticed it before. Its edge glistened, curling in illogical patterns. Pressing my ear against the surface, I heard, or felt, a gentle, rhythmic tapping that faded if I focused too hard. Around the apartment, minor things shifted. The kettle hissed, drawers stuck stubbornly, and my skin tingled after brushing the hallway walls. When I flicked off the lamp, I glimpsed a movement inside the bulb, a trembling darkness that vanished under focused scrutiny. By the third night, the apartment's silence grew unnatural. I tried to seal windows, stuffed towels under their edges, yet the air pressed in, thick, syrupy quiet, heavy as velvet. My fingertips traced every bump of the walls. Shadows lingered longer than normal. The floor felt uneven, an invisible pull drawing me toward the back room with its warped doorframe. As I passed, dust spiraled in the light, forming shapes that reminded me of thin, stretching fingers. I felt observed, but not from any specific direction, more like the entire room was watching, a witness to my solitude. Things worsened. The color began to repeat. One morning, opening my fridge, I glimpsed that blue slithering around the edges of the shelf. All my food tasted like salt and static that day. That night, the bathroom tiles radiated a cold damp, and after washing my face, water left glowing tracks on my cheeks before evaporating. Objects rearranged themselves, pens tucked in the freezer, towels folded behind the toilet, dust collected in a bowl on the floor. Was I doing this in my sleep? Or was something else at work in the spaces I could not control? Sounds altered. Long after midnight, I heard soft knocks in unreplicable patterns. Voices ceased echoing in the hallway. Instead, soft breathing brushed against the wallpaper, too erratic to be mistaken for plumbing. Once, as I stepped into the kitchen, the fridge's hum dropped to a slow growl and then soared again, like a warning. I tried recording the sounds, but the playback revealed only silence and bursts of sharp static whenever the blue shimmered at the edge of the frame. About a week ago, I decided to leave. I packed a bag, hands trembling, ready to sleep in my car if necessary. As I swung the door open, cold air rushed into the hallway, but outside the corridor shifted. The wallpaper appeared damp, seams bulging. Strange, granular powder clung to the light switches. The world beyond my door had changed, its colors and forms unfamiliar. I stepped back inside, locked the door, and sat on the floor, too frightened to cry. Sleep eluded me. Whenever I closed my eyes, I saw the blue place, the stain on the ceiling, growing wider, pressing against my chest. My dreams warped around a deep, fluttering breath, cool and hopeless. It came from the walls. Sometimes, as I slipped close to sleep, I perceived faint patterns undulating beneath the paint, like a sluggish thing waiting for birth. Now the apartment responds to me. My movements transgress boundaries. Dust thickens in the corners when I linger, forming spindly shapes that crumble if I get too close. The air cools against my skin, moist, while the lights dim when I speak. Textures shift. The wooden table ripples under my fingertips, not swelling, with a faint warmth that lingers after my hand retracts. The rug twitches beneath my toes, enough to notice, yet not enough to move. Each breath feels rehearsed. A misplaced word seems to thicken the silence. Tonight, the color converges. It is alive now, thick and pulsing, reaching toward me with careful curiosity. Where the blue meets the ceiling, tiny cracks web outward like veins seeking direction. I inch closer to the radiator, sweating despite the cold. A slick whisper flows through the apartment, like silk underwater. Lights quiver softly, and the walls subtly curve inward as if drawn by an unseen tide. The blue extends downward, forming a single thread that trembles at the edge of my vision. Its color is unbearable, foreign, resonant, more than mere blue. The lines crawl lower, casting shadows that twitch and then become still. A drop coalesces. Thick as oil, glimmering, it slides down the thread, landing with a muffled thud on my desk. The surface bends as if rotting from within. The drop spreads, spidering outward, creating a mottled stain. Silence deepens, thick enough that my breath reverberates against my ribs. In that silence, I hear it shift. Something vast and curious gathers behind the wall. An outline begins to form in the stain, first a warped circle, then a spiraled ridge, followed by a trembling slit no wider than a fingernail. Anchored by dread, I watch as the slit opens, revealing a blue deeper than darkness, layered with alien patience. Then something pushes through the stain, a limb both rigid and soft, wrapped in glimmering film, untethered from bone. It taps the surface of the desk, leaving prints that linger in the air. My lungs clamp shut and I gasp, unable to look away. The blue shape unfolds. I observe shifting ridges, trembling grooves, an oily symmetry that suggests hands learned only from echoes of humanity. The limb glides through the air, moving not directly toward me but around me, as if I am a puzzle to be solved. It brushes inches from my face, the air vibrating with coldness, the scent of rust and wet stone. The lights extinguish. I am left blind, save for the pulsing blue spreading through the ceiling. A sudden pressure builds in my skull, thousands of tiny teeth scraping behind my eyes. I want to scream, but the silence is suffocating. A second limb slides free. Weight settles into my bones as this entity drags something of itself into my world. A shapeless mass, testing the rules of my apartment, probing for reality's thinnest seams. The desk buckles. The plastic chair implodes soundlessly. My vision fractures into a mosaic of blue and shadow. I sense the air around me collapses, squeezed by invisible hands. The blue fractures as I see its reflection in every window, every surface. It vibrates with knowledge, with ownership. I'm a node caught in a web spun by accident or hunger. Suddenly, all the blue threads retract into the wound in the ceiling. The stain on my desk stiffens, fracturing with a faint hiss. Pressure in my head dissipates, replaced by a shimmering that rattles my ribs. I open my mouth to speak, yet nothing comes out. Alone, but not truly alone. The final limb trails upward, a wet glimmer tracing slow circles in the air above me. I want to flee, but the stain remains, an oval where the desk once was. Fine, wet channels leak from its center. All sound is absorbed, leaving only the metallic taste in my mouth and a prickling layer beneath my skin. It will return. It knows how to find me. Every part of this apartment has shifted. My hands are coated in fresh dust, under my nails pressed into my palms, blue-black and grainy. The light never returns right. None of this belongs to me anymore. The stain on the desk pulses faintly, as though recalling the shape of my face. If you notice a blue shade bleeding from your ceiling tonight, don't move. Hold your breath, stay silent. It listens for those who remain still.